Hello everyone. My name is Dr. Anthony Reilly. Thanks very much to Protect the 8th and Save the 8th campaigns for inviting me to speak here this evening. I'm a GP, I'm from Dublin, but I have very strong roots here in Mayo. Minister Harris has nominated myself and my colleagues, without any prior consultation, to roll out the nationwide provision of early first trimester abortions in the event of repeal of the 8th Amendment. Well, sorry Simon, that's not going to happen. First and foremost, I firmly believe that the people of Ireland will overwhelmingly reject this abominable proposal. But even were the referendum to carry, I can assure you that there's no threat and no incentive that the government could put in place that could force me to end the life of a baby. Someone who's devoted the past 13 years to caring for patients, the suggestion is completely unthinkable. From the first time the pregnant woman comes to see me or any other GP, we're aware that we're treating two patients. Indeed, Leo Varadkar himself acknowledged the fact that he thought it strange for people to refer to the unborn as a fetus, as to do so is like calling your tongue your glossus. It doesn't make any sense. This is a baby. It has unique DNA from the moment of conception. It has a beating heart from the 3rd week, pumping its own blood. From 6.5 weeks, it would appear like a miniature baby in the palm of your hand. From 8 weeks, all of its organs are functioning, and by 9 or 10 weeks, it has its own fingerprints. This is a miracle. This is a baby. And these facts hold true whether the pregnancy is a source of joy to the mother, as it usually is, or in difficult circumstances, when a woman presents with a crisis pregnancy. There are two patients there, no matter the circumstances. Regardless of the circumstances of their conception, an unborn baby is always unique and has the immense dignity due to any person. Nothing can add or detract from their inherent dignity. It's false compassion to suggest abortion as the solution to the circumstances of a difficult pregnancy. The government argue that we need to repeal the 8th Amendment to protect the health of women. Throughout the last 35 years, however, since the introduction of the 8th Amendment, Ireland has consistently ranked amongst the safest maternity services in the world for mother and baby. No other area of our health service can compare to it in terms of it being consistently top class. It's never finished worse than 7th in the whole world since 1985. It's really very hard to be world class at anything. It's completely inconceivable that if the 8th Amendment were causing serious impairments in the ability of doctors to care for their patients, that we could possibly be achieving these kind of standards for mothers and babies. I entered medical school 19 years ago to help people. I love my patients and I try and do my best for them. How could I look at myself in the mirror in the morning, knowing that I deliberately set out to kill one of my patients? What would I ever be able to tell my children about the work that I do? What would be the point in the sacrifices that my parents made to send me to medical school? How could I take pride in my profession or advise anyone to pursue a career in general practice? More importantly, how would a patient feel about accepting a script from me if they thought that the last script I wrote might have been a patient's death sentence? How would a woman feel in theatre having a caesarean section if she knows that where her baby first sees the light of day is the same room countless other babies have had their lives brutally ended? The government have said that doctors like me with a conscientious objection to abortion do not have to participate in their proposals. This is really not true, however. The proposed law would obligate me to directly refer my patients to a doctor who will either perform the abortion themselves or arrange for it to take place. This places me in an impossible position. I take very seriously to whom I refer my patients. I couldn't, in good conscience, refer a pregnant woman to someone who would deliberately kill their baby. In this scenario, if I refuse to refer the patient, I could be referred to the medical council or prosecuted, threatening my future career, even though a 5-second Google search would have led the woman to where she wanted to go. However, the doctor who may brutally end the life of a healthy, thriving baby belonging to a healthy mother would be acting completely within the law. How perverse is that? Within a generation, there would be no doctors left in general practice, in obstetrics and gynecology, or in anaesthetics, who have a true conscientious objection to abortion. Doctors who are willing to stand up for the weakest and the most vulnerable will be permanently sidelined, leaving the remainder to continue their radical agenda of death for the inconvenient. The future integrity of medicine in Ireland is firmly on the line here. The famous line coined by Bill Clinton of making abortion safe, legal and rare has been adopted by Minister Catherine Zappone. The reality is that Bill Clinton never presided over a regime where abortion was rare. There was well over 1 million abortions every year of his presidency. Our government is trying to argue against all logic that its proposals are somehow restrictive. However, allowing unrestricted abortion up to 12 weeks is similar to many other European countries, in all of whom the abortion rates dramatically increased in the years after legalisation. Despite the number of women travelling to the UK every year and illegally importing abortion pills from other jurisdictions, our abortion rate is lower than any other in Europe and is far less than the UK. If we legalise abortion here, as sure as night follows day, the number of abortions will rise dramatically. Worldwide figures of abortion are mind-blowing, and testament to the fact that when it's introduced, abortion can never be controlled. The Guttmacher Institute, a pro-choice American institute, estimates that there were an average of 56 million abortions worldwide every year between 2010 and 2014. 56 million every year. That's more than 1 million deaths from abortion in the world every week. 153,000 people will die today from abortion. That's far more than the population of Mayo every single day. Let's put it in further context. If you survive to birth, the number one cause of death in the world is heart disease, and this affects roughly this causes about 8.75 million deaths in a year. All types of cancer combined in 2012, that was the latest figure I could come across, all types of cancer combined, 8.2 million. So if you add those two together, those dying from all cancers and from heart disease, it isn't even 1/3 of the number of people dying from abortion every year. In fact, if you try and find out how many people in the world die every year who have been born, you'll come up with different figures from different sources. UNICEF would say it's 52 million a year, the CIA 59 million a year. So there's a comparable number of people dying from abortion every year than from all other causes combined. The womb and the doctor's surgery are by far the most dangerous places in the world. What a subversion of any human logic. 56 million reasons every year to believe that abortion in Ireland will simply not be rare. Pro-repeal doctors have stated that approximately 5,000 abortions could be envisaged every year. As mentioned previously, in every other country where it's been introduced, the numbers have skyrocketed. But even if we took their figure, even if the number remained static and it was 5,000 a year, if general practitioners took on the mantle of abortionists, we would comfortably overtake heart disease as the #1 killer in the country. Nothing in the government proposal makes any sense. Even parking moral objections to one side for just a moment, the proposal for a GP-led abortion service is unworkable, ill-considered and downright dangerous. The overwhelming majority of GPs don't have access to ultrasounds in their surgeries. For GPs to prescribe medical abortions to patients in the absence of an ultrasound check of the pregnancy dates to exclude an ectopic pregnancy is medically unsound. Advocates of repeal spend most of their time justifying abortion on the basis of a small number of cases of rape, incest, and life-limiting conditions. Such cases are genuinely distressing, and I know that many people are extremely conflicted when they hear of them. I'd like to spend just a few moments discussing these cases. Rape is an unimaginable crime which can do untold damage to the victim. Our first priority must always be to care for the victim and provide her with the best possible medical and psychological support. In dealing with the perpetrator, I believe that sentences for rape are far too lenient at present and should be increased as a deterrent. In cases where the victim has become pregnant, however, it would be very wrong not to acknowledge the fact that, as difficult as it is to accept, an innocent person has come into the world who had no hand, act or part in the terrible violation that she suffered, and its life deserves protection. We've heard the amazing testimony of Sandra Caulfield tonight regarding her baby, Hope Rose, and how amazing and precious the moments that she and her family had with her were. True compassion for parents in Sandra's situation and a true appreciation that babies like Hope Rose deserve to be cherished and respected demands that we provide proper support for families confronted with a devastating diagnosis. Abortion is totally inappropriate and it does nothing to solve the issue. The government says that their legislation doesn't target people with disabilities, but this is untrue. They're proposing abortion right up to birth in the case of patients with life-limiting conditions. And this is utterly barbaric. Cases of rape and life-limiting conditions combined account for around 1% of abortions where similar regimes to that proposed in Ireland have been introduced. If a voter still feels that abortion is justified in these cases, they must consider that 2 coachloads of babies will also suffer death for every 1 baby affected by either a life-limiting condition or those conceived in rape. There's also been a lot of discussion regarding the need for abortion on medical grounds. Cases advanced by the repeal side have been very limited. I haven't been confronted by a single one where the 8th Amendment was actually the genuine barrier to the woman receiving the care she needed. No matter what law we have in place, difficult judgment calls need to be made in medicine, and unfortunately in rare cases outcomes can be poor. But making these decisions in the context of the 8th Amendment ensures that proper respect is being afforded to both mother and baby. Removing the 8th Amendment would have quite the opposite effect. A vote to repeal the 8th Amendment is a vote against hope. A vote to repeal the 8th Amendment is a vote that will cost thousands of lives and prevent the families of future generations from coming into being. We have to vindicate the right to life of all of our children. I'm not quite old enough to remember the 8th Amendment being introduced in 1983. But I can certainly remember things very clearly that happened 30 years ago. The first match that I was ever at was the Connacht final of 1988 between Roscommon and Mayo. And Mayo decisively beat Roscommon this day, with Willie Joe Padden and Anthony Finnerty having a prime role in that. Over those years, and they've zipped by since then, quietly in the background, the 8th Amendment has been saving thousands of lives every year. It seems like no length ago since my father was driving me to that match that day. And here I am standing before you today, 30 years later. The next 30 years is going to go by just as quickly. And over that time, by voting no in this referendum, we have the opportunity to save thousands and thousands of lives. And the alternative is absolutely unthinkable. The decision we take on the 25th of May will have a profound and lasting effect on the country, and from the bottom of my heart, I urge everyone to vote no.